monarchy. Elizabeth remains queen of 15 countries in what's known as the Commonwealth realm. But this time last year, she was queen of 16 countries. In November of 2021, the Caribbean island of Barbados became a republic, removing Queen Elizabeth as their head of state. Well, joining me now is Reverend Guy Hewitt. He's former High Commissioner for Barbados in London. Reverend, thank you very much for joining the program. When Barbados made the decision to become a republic, was it a rejection of the British monarchy?
Good evening, and let me start by saying, again, echoing the congratulations that are being paid to Her Majesty for this milestone and wishing her a speedy recovery. Responding to the specific question, I'd say no, it was not at all anything to do with a rejection of Her Majesty or anti-monarchy stance. It really was, for Barbados, the continuation of a journey towards self-determination, deciding that there was an appetite at this point in time to have a local Barbadian as the head of state. But Barbados, like many other countries across the Commonwealth, celebrate this milestone because Her Majesty is not only spent 70 years as the head of state for those 50 Commonwealth realms, but has also been the head of the Commonwealth for the 54 member countries.
Do you think it could have a domino effect on other nations in the Caribbean? We saw earlier this year when William and Kate toured some of those countries that they were met in some places by protests. Do you think that what Barbados has done, we could now see other nations do too?
I suspect that based on the communications from other Caribbean countries, and we've heard mutterings from Australia as well, that there seems to be some consideration of republicanism in other countries. But the question really is about the country's priorities and their legislative agenda, whether they want to spend the time really moving towards becoming a republic, or whether there are other issues that they would prefer to spend their time on. In Barbados, it was something that was planned. The government also used the opportunity, I think, in an upcoming general election to try to get a bit of a bump because of the push towards self-determination. But I think those countries are probably going to be more measured and ask themselves, is this necessary at this point in time?
And the Queen, of course, sent her warmest good wishes to Barbados when they became independent from her. But the country chose to stay as part of the Commonwealth. What does being part of the Commonwealth give to a country like Barbados? In practical terms, what does it give you?
In practical terms, and I'll speak specifically about small island states, 32 of the 54 members of the Commonwealth of Nations are small states. And for Barbados and for other small countries, it provides immense coverage to come together with countries like Britain and India and Australia and Canada and know that you come together as equals, and knowing that these countries, which have considerable influence in the world, are going to provide support and endorse your own agenda. And it was really the work of the Commonwealth that put small states' issues on the international agenda.
You were High Commissioner to London from 2014 to 2018. I imagine that as part of being High Commissioner here, you may have met the Queen when you became High Commissioner. What are you thinking watching her Platinum Jubilee today?
I, along with people in Barbados and across the Caribbean, paid attention. I know my mother and many of her friends watched the Trooping of the Colours, watched the service at St. Paul's today, the Thanksgiving service, and Her Majesty is continued to be held in very high esteem in Barbados, for me, and across the region. And we are thankful for her role as both head of state and head of the Commonwealth, because I think she made a large part of what the Commonwealth is able to celebrate today possible. Because if we look at other colonial powers, the decolonization effort was fraught with controversy, with great difficulties. And the fact that the independent countries within the Commonwealth stayed together within this family of nations, I think is a great testimony to her leadership and her reign.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Commonwealth next as well. Reverend Guy Hewitt, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.